Hi everyone, and welcome to Introducing DHPSNY. My name is Anastasia Matikiu, and I'm the Program Coordinator for Documentary Heritage and Preservation Services for New York, or DHPSNY as we've come to call it. If we're having any audio issues, please feel free to tell us via the chat or questions box. We had a bit of an issue with our last webinar, so please make us aware if it's happening again. So in today's webinar, I'm hoping to give you an overview of DHPSNY and how we plan to work over the next 4.5 years to help systematically document, preserve, and make accessible the material record cared for by you, New York's collecting institutions. I'm going to cover our services, planning and assessment and education services, as well as our plans for spreading the word about DHPSNY. All of us here at DHPSNY are excited about the program and can't wait to start working with all of you to make it a reality. As the webinar progresses, please feel free to submit questions. If you have any questions specific to your organization about eligibility or what service to apply for, we just ask that you follow up with us via email after the webinar. I also want to apologize now for any awkward pauses. I have a bit of a cold, so I might just be taking a sip of water at those points. So to get started, what exactly is DHPSNY? As you might have deduced by now, DHPSNY stands for Documentary Heritage and Preservation Services for New York. DHPSNY is a 5-year initiative to deliver essential training services to New York's collecting institutions. Our training and services include archival needs assessments, preservation and conservation surveys, guidance with strategic planning, and access to a variety of educational programs and workshops. DHPSNY is making these important services available free of charge to organizations across New York that collect, preserve, and make accessible historical records and/or library research materials. During the 5-year initiative, DHPSNY aims to improve adherence by New York collecting institutions to standards and best practices for preservation and accessibility, increase documentation of underdocumented population groups and topics, and increased public awareness of the value of New York's historical records and library research materials, as well as an increased use of these materials. DHPSNY is a collaboration between 2 long-running New York programs dedicated to service and support for archival and library research collections throughout the state. The New York State Archives Documentary Heritage Program and the New York State Library Conservation Preservation Program. DHPSNY was established in 2016 by the New York State Education Department's Office of Cultural Education to ensure consistent and comprehensive services to the vast network of organizations that safeguard New York's records and makes them accessible. The Conservation Center for Art and Historic Artifacts was selected to deliver these services to the community of historical records repositories in New York. The Conservation Center for Art and Historic Artifacts, or CCAHA, is a nonprofit conservation facility specializing in the treatment of works on paper, photographs, and books through conservation and state-of-the-art digital imaging services. Founded in 1977, CCAHA serves nonprofit cultural institutions, private individuals, and other collecting organizations. CCAHA's Preservation Services Office, of which DHPSNY is a part of, offers on-site consultations for preservation needs assessments and risk assessments, preservation planning, emergency planning, collections management policies, and other services. PSO also works to develop and present professional development programs all throughout the country and offers free technical reference assistance through phone and email. Here in Philadelphia, DHPSNY staff currently consists of myself, the program coordinator, and Jason Henner, communications assistant. Our staff will be expanding in the next few months with the addition of an archives specialist and a preservation specialist. I also want to take a moment now to clarify that the DHP and Conservation Preservation grants are still active and are administered by the New York State Archives and Library. Now that I've introduced DHPSNY, I'd like to share with you the specific services we'll be offering over the next 4.5 years. I divided them into 3 areas: communications and outreach, planning and assessment, and education services. I'll start with communications and outreach, highlighting the ways we plan to keep you up to date on DHPSNY and our services. As many of you are probably aware, DHPSNY.org launched earlier last month, actually. This website will be a primary location for all things DHPSNY, and where you'll be able to find information about our planning and assessment services, educational programs, and more. You can learn about DHPSNY by clicking here. There are also links under this header to learn more about our partners and staff, as well as our contact information. Here is where you can learn more about our planning and assessment services and download applications. I'll cover more about this section later in detail. The blog is the best place for you to check for news about DHPSNY, including announcements about webinars, workshops, and application deadlines. We'll also be featuring some of our activities throughout the state here in the near future. As you might have noticed in clicking through our site, several pages say "Coming Soon." Since we last hosted this webinar, we've launched our education pages, where you can learn more about our upcoming webinars and workshops, as well as find links to register. In the next few weeks, we'll be adding a calendar and resources pages. Later this fall, we'll be launching our forums, a space for discussion and queries about collections care for all of you to take advantage of and interact with your colleagues across the state. Another facet of our website that is coming soon is the DHPSNY directory. By the end of 2016, we plan to launch a statewide directory of historical records repositories. The easily searchable database will list all service-eligible institutions throughout the state and will facilitate communications, outreach, and accessibility. It will also give you the opportunity to get a sense of just who is out there in the state and can help foster potentials for collaboration and resource sharing. More information will be available soon about how to make your institution listed in the database. In addition to our website, we plan to share DHPSNY's adventures through a few other channels. DHPSNY will soon be launching a bi-monthly newsletter to keep New York institutions up to date with our services and activity in the state. If you haven't already, we invite you to sign up for the newsletter via the widget at the top of the website. DHPSNY is also active on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts up and running, and a LinkedIn page coming soon. You can search for us on any of these platforms as DHPSNY or click the widgets at the top of our website. DHPSNY will also distribute some hard copy materials via snail mail. A final facet of our communications and outreach work is a statewide constituent needs survey we'll be conducting annually throughout the duration of DHPSNY. This survey, which will be coming to your inboxes this fall, will help us by providing insight into current conditions at and needs of your institutions. We're counting on all of you to voice your needs and the challenges you face when the survey is distributed. The data collected in the survey will be used to help inform DHPSNY programming decisions and determine areas of need. Our next area is planning and assessment services. DHPSNY will be offering 3 different services via a competitive application process: archival needs assessments, preservation and conservation surveys, and strategic planning. We're also undertaking a documentation plan for the state of New York. As I mentioned earlier, you can find information about our planning and assessment services as well as download applications under the Planning and Assessment tab on our website. These 3 services are offered via a competitive application process with limited spaces available. Our first round of applications is already open, and we encourage you to apply by the deadline, October 14th. Once received, applications will be reviewed by an advisory committee of library, archives, and conservation professionals. Following this round, applications will be available on a biannual basis. I'm going to give a brief overview of each of these services. After the webinar, if you have questions about what service is best suited for your organization at this time, please don't hesitate to contact me. First up, archival needs assessments. An archival needs assessment thoroughly examines your archival program, identifying and addressing specific organizational needs, operational efficiencies, facility and storage concerns, and collections management issues. The assessment will pinpoint problems, recommend solutions, set priorities, and guide the development of your archival program. Our assessments are conducted by an experienced archivist with needs assessment expertise. The entire process will include a site visit, a report, and follow-up services as appropriate. During the site visit, DHPSNY staff will interview key personnel at your organization and evaluate the existing historical records programs, policies, and facility. The resulting needs assessment report will describe the current status of the organization, address its needs, and provide recommendations for short-term improvement and long-range planning and vision. Prior to applying, we encourage repositories to conduct the self-assessment survey Strengthening Archives available on the New York State Archives website. Institutions eligible for archival needs assessments are nonprofit, non-government repositories in New York State that hold historical records and operate programs to preserve such records and make them publicly accessible. In addition, institutions should be prepared to schedule a site visit prior to April 30th, 2017. For this round of applications, we're looking to select 10 organizations to receive archival needs assessments. Looking ahead, we plan to conduct 90 assessments by the conclusion of March 2021. Preservation surveys focus on the risk, both internal and external, to which collections are exposed in the context of the collecting organization and the physical environment. The preservation survey process consists of a general evaluation of the institution's preservation needs for the collections: environment, housekeeping, pest control, fire protection, security and disaster preparedness, collection storage, handling, exhibition, and treatment. Relevant staff members are interviewed to identify preservation needs, and the main product of the survey is a report including an executive summary that identifies priorities for action, specific materials in need of immediate attention, recommendations for remedial action, and establishment of short and long-term preservation goals. Our staff can often share creative and affordable recommendations and solutions to your preservation problems. Where appropriate, DHPSNY will offer a conservation survey for archival materials to supplement a preservation survey. Because a conservation survey is an evaluation of materials in a specific collection or collections, they will only be offered after a preservation survey has been conducted and the major recommendations have been addressed. The product of a conservation survey is a written report that documents the overall conditions of the collection's materials and assists in incorporating the conservation needs of the collection into the overall goals and planning of the institution. If you believe a conservation survey would better fit your organization's needs, there will be an opportunity to clarify that in the application process. Institutions eligible for preservation and conservation surveys are nonprofit cultural institutions or local government in New York State that hold historical, archival, and library research collections records and operate programs to preserve and make them publicly accessible. In addition, institutions should be prepared to schedule a site visit prior to April 30th, 2017. For this round of applications, we're looking to select 10 organizations to receive preservation and conservation surveys, and looking ahead, we plan to conduct 90 surveys by the conclusion of March 2021. The final planning and assessment service we are offering is strategic planning. DHPSNY is proud to offer a newly developed curriculum geared specifically towards assisting small to medium-sized institutions in strategic planning in a thoughtful way. We've worked closely with the New York Council of Nonprofits to create it. Strategic planning is an important endeavor for an organization. Through strategic planning, organizations create a roadmap for effective decision-making. As a part of our curriculum, your board and staff members conduct an assessment of your organization's current status, its strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and then unify around a set of common goals with the assistance of a trained facilitator. The final 3-year strategic plan establishes a common vision, an outline of strategic goals and objectives, recommendations for the effective allocation of resources, and an organizational structure that will support the work of implementation. You can find more information about the strategic planning process and our curriculum on the strategic planning page of the DHPSNY site. The blue arrow on the left highlights a PDF you can download that provides an overview of the DHPSNY strategic planning process, consisting of 2 webinars administered approximately 4 months apart, with assignments and a retreat occurring between the first 2 webinars. The yellow arrow highlights a PDF we've put together to help you decide if your organization is ready for strategic planning, and consists of several questions you should consider if you are planning to apply for this service. Institutions eligible for strategic planning are nonprofit, non-government repositories in New York State that hold historical, archival, and library collections and operate programs to preserve such records and make them publicly accessible. Please note that if you plan to apply, your institution's designated leader for strategic planning should be available for the first webinar scheduled for Tuesday, December 13th at 10 a.m. For this round of applications, we're looking to select 10 organizations to receive strategic planning assistance. Looking ahead, we plan to assist 90 institutions by the conclusion of March 2021. As I mentioned earlier, applications are now available. I've highlighted with an arrow where you can download the application for archival needs assessments. The strategic planning and preservation and conservation survey pages all have similar links where you can download a PDF of the application. Each of the applications come with a brief set of instructions on the first page. Please note that each service has a slightly different application. The application itself is divided into 2 sections, a narrative and general information section. The application asks you to describe your collections, how they are used, why this is an appropriate time for you to participate in the requested service, the resources you can apply to implement recommendations, and more. In addition to the application, we ask you to include a few additional materials. These materials vary by service, and a list is provided on the front page of each application and as a checklist at the end. All 3 applications require you to submit a commitment letter signed by your executive director or board chair. This letter should demonstrate the organizational and board support necessary for supporting and pursuing the recommendations that would result from the assessments. I'd like to take a moment now to highlight that you do not have to be a large organization or have a full-time staff to take part in DHPSNY services. We're here to serve all eligible organizations and encourage small and medium organizations that might only have 1 part-time staff member or all volunteer to apply. If you have any questions about the services, which to apply for, eligibility, or about completing your application, please don't hesitate to contact us. DHPSNY staff is available to assist you in completing the forms. All application materials must be postmarked or received by email by October 14, 2016. In addition to the planning and assessment services we're offering via application, DHPSNY will be undertaking the creation of a documentation plan for the state of New York. The documentation planning project will help facilitate collecting repositories throughout the state to identify, survey, collect, and make available historical records relating to underdocumented groups or subjects. Working with a humanities scholar with New York State expertise, an advisory committee representing various topical areas of focus, this planning will enrich New York's historical record by providing a tested methodology and a research-based set of priority topics and criteria for identifying and preserving records about all New Yorkers, and will result in a single statewide documentation plan by the end of the 5 years. Implementation of the planning process will include conducting research, dialogue among stakeholders, decision-making concerning possible underdocumented population groups and topics, and determining appropriate documentation approaches. Lastly, we have educational services. Educational services offered by DHPSNY include workshops, webinars, technical assistance, and a mentorship program. DHPSNY will be offering workshops and webinars to qualifying New York institutions. Presented free of charge throughout the state, DHPSNY's programs will address the needs of professionals and volunteers responsible for the care and handling of historical records. DHPSNY's workshops and webinars discuss emerging issues and best practices, with content scaled to apply to small to medium-sized organizations with limited resources. Potential topics include records management, advocacy and fundraising, basics of archival processing and arrangement, preservation best practices, collections management policy development, emergency preparedness and response, material-specific courses such as print, historic photograph, or audiovisual material identification and care, and basics of digitization, to just name a few. With our workshops, we aim to promote interactive learning, networking, and collaboration, and emphasize hands-on learning exercises. I'm happy to announce dates for our first workshop, Understanding Archives, an Introduction to Archival Basics. This workshop will first be presented on November 15th at the Southeastern New York Library Resource Council in Highland, New York, and again on November 17th in Glen Falls, New York. We're currently working on scheduling a third location in Western New York for late November, early December. Registration is now open and on our website under the education pages. In addition, early 2017 will see our second workshop, Essential Policies and Procedures for Cultural Institutions, presented throughout the state at 3 locations. Looking ahead, DHPSNY will present 3 workshops a year in 5 locations, for a total of 15 workshops per year. Our aim is to offer all regions access to educational programming at the same pace. DHPSNY's webinar series is a great option to explore topics that are narrowly focused. With webinars ranging from 1 to 2 hours, you'll have the opportunity to learn about a specific topic from the comfort of your own home or office. If you find yourself interested in a webinar but unable to participate, don't worry. We're also recording all webinars and making them available for download from the DHPSNY website. We've got a great lineup of webinars through the end of 2016, starting with Funding for Collections Care, presented by Lee Price, CCAHA's Director of Development, on the morning of Thursday, October 6th. Registration is live, and you can find the link to register on our blog. In addition, I'm happy to announce dates for the next 2 webinars, Collections Care Basics, Agents of Deterioration on November 10th, and Introduction to Digitization on December 8th. Registration is open for these and can be found on the education page of our website. I also want to give you a sneak peek of webinars we'll be offering in early 2017, Know Your Collections, Collections Management, collection security, and introduction to emergency planning and preparedness. At this point, I'd like to remind everyone in the statewide constituent needs survey I mentioned earlier in the webinar. We're hoping that your responses on this survey will help guide our programming decisions in the following years. So please make sure to let us know what type of program you'd like to see when the survey is distributed later this fall. Another exciting component of our educational services is the launch of a mentorship program designed to raise the skills and knowledge, as well as build relationships among collecting repositories throughout New York. This mentorship program will be a little different than the traditional model. Instead of a one-on-one relationship, we'll be creating mentorship circles of 4 to 6 individuals at varying points in their career, including students, emerging professionals, established professionals, and volunteers. Our goal is to create an inclusive program that serves all who work in the field in the state of New York, not just newer emerging professionals. We want to encourage mid-career professionals and volunteers to take part. Mentorship should be available to all, regardless of the stage you are in your career. Mentorship groups will meet virtually or by phone for a set period of time. There will also be a mentorship mixers hosted at either one of the participant sites or at a statewide conference. More information will be available soon about applying to the mentorship program through both our website and announcements sent out via our newsletter. Finally, DHPSNY staff will be available throughout the course of the 5 years for one-on-one technical or reference assistance through phone and email consultations. We have a wealth of knowledge on archival preservation and many conservation topics, and have great contacts with whom we can connect you on questions we don't have immediate answers for. We're here to help you. It is very important that this program serves to truly strengthen resources, capacity, and community throughout the state. So that's DHPSNY in a nutshell. I've included here my contact information, as well as the contact information for Jason. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions you might have. And I'd also like to open the floor now for any questions you might have, as well as from the webinar. So there's a question, are you permitted to apply for 2 programs at the same time? You can apply for 2, but I will say that you will only be awarded one planning and assessment service. The time commitment for these, we don't want you to have competing priorities for the 2, so we'd like you to focus on one, and then you can return and apply for the one you might not have been awarded in a later session. Someone asked if we are unable to listen to a webinar at the scheduled time, will they be archived for future listening? Yes, they will be. All of the webinars will be living on our resource page, and you'll be able to download and view them. We are recording today's webinar, and it will be available on the website. We also have the recording from the September 15th webinar available on our website already. Are there any other questions? I know we have a small group today, so. It seems like there were a few audio problems. Sorry about that for anyone who had audio in and out. So as I said, if you have questions specific to your organization, please feel free to shoot me an email or to give us a call here. All of my contact information, as well as Jason's, is up on the screen right now. So we have the question, is there a central location in New York State, or are all programs out of Philadelphia? DHPSNY is Our staff is working out of Philadelphia at the Conservation Center for Art and Historic Artifacts, who were awarded the grant by the New York State Education Department. We work closely with the New York State Library and Archives out of Albany, and all of the workshops and programs will be happening in the state of New York. The only things that aren't happening in New York are the webinars, but technology allows us to get to everyone. We have the question, after the 5 years, do you anticipate any continuation of the program? The conservation, preservation, and DHP programs will be continuing. Regardless, they are mandated by law in New York. And as to speak to if this iteration, we will see in a few years. For now, we're just focusing on getting through the 5 years and the many, many things that we will be doing to serve the state. Will this PowerPoint be posted online too? Yes, the PowerPoint slides are already available online. You should be able to find them on the blog section of our website because we're still working on getting the resources page up and running. Again, if you have specific questions about anything, if you look back at your notes, please feel free to give us a call or email us. We're happy to answer any questions you might have. So it seems like questions are slowing down. Just give it a few more minutes for questions before we end the webinar. I know it was slated for 10 to 11. Our small group seems to make it go a little bit quicker is all. So I think questions have all been answered at this point. Thanks again for taking the time to join today's webinar. Again, if you have any more questions, if you have questions that are specific to your organization and your eligibility or what to apply for, please feel free to email us or give us a call. We're more than happy to help you with those questions. Once again, thanks for joining, and we hope to work with all of you in the near future as a part of DHPSNY as we continue to grow. Thanks, and have a great day, everyone.